A very happy new year to you all, and welcome back to the Small Business Toolbox, where we are looking at the nuts and bolts of self-employment. Over the years, I have learned that if you don't set yourself goals and challenges for your business, you will not achieve in the way that you could push yourself. It comes up in the comments over and over again on all of my YouTube channels. How do I get the time to run more than one business? And the answer is very simple. It all comes down to being organised, and if I wasn't organised, there is no way on earth I would get done the things that I try and get done every year. And there's still a lot of stuff that I want to get done that I don't get done, but that's another whole different story. For me, the most important part of the year, and to an extent the most enjoyable part of the year, is January, because in January, that is kind of my reset point for my businesses. Now, I am organised to the point of borderline OCD, and that doesn't work for everyone. There are people I know who run very, very successful businesses who aren't organised in any way, shape or form, but they always seem to be quite stressed. And all I would say is, by being organised, I think I'm less stressed and I've got a better handle on what's going on in my life and in my businesses. At the end of the day, do what works for you. So in this video, I'm going to take you through my start of year January routine that I do every year at the beginning of the year. It's always worked really, really well for me. And I'm going to take you through every part of it. And basically there's 4 stages to my start of year routine. The first thing I do is a full desk clear down from the previous year. I get all of my finances up to date, I get all my filing done, I make sure the desk is clear and tidy. I literally physically hoover my desk and get it all nice and clean and spick and span, ready for the start of a new year. If I don't do it now, I'll never do it. Secondly, I make sure that I've taken a full backup of all the data from the previous year. Effectively, what it lets me do is that it gives me a snapshot, a point in time that I can roll back to if anything catastrophic happens in the following year. So I make sure I've got a full backup and all my backups are up to date. Thirdly, I set goals for the new year, and I will cover off all of my goals from the previous year and for this year later on in this video. And then what I also do is I set myself a January to-do list, and I'll talk you through that later on as well. Now don't worry, I'm not going to show you a detailed video of how I tidy my desk, but what I will do is give you quite a detailed overview of the other 3 points. Let's start off with the data backup and setting up the data structure for the current year. So, the first thing I like to do is set up a folder structure for the new year. Data management is a bit of a big topic for this video, but I organise my data on a year-by-year basis. I've tried every conceivable way of managing data over the last 20 years or so, and for me, this works the best. But every business is different, so do what works for you. So dead simple, I create a new 2019 folder for the new year. So as well as tidying up my physical desktop, now is the time I also tidy up my computer desktop. Most of this is just temporary stuff I've been working on over the year, but I still need to go through it all and either file it away properly within the 2018 folder or just delete it. What I'll also do is delete any shortcuts to stuff in the 2018 folder, because I don't want to make any modifications to stuff in that folder from now on. Everything is tidy, in its right place. The 2018 folder is now locked down and ready to be backed up. So now I need somewhere to back up the data to. I just use these portable hard drives. That's a 2 terabyte Seagate. I'll include a link in the description below to something similar to this. Obviously, as time goes on, drives are going to get bigger and faster and prettier. I produce a lot of data, and a 2 terabyte drive will keep me going for backups for at least 5 years. So you're not having to buy these very often. So all I do, dead simple, I create a new folder for the December 2018 backup on the external hard drive, and I copy the whole 2018 folder over. Obviously make sure you've got enough space on your external drive to do this. This gives me a snapshot point in time that I can go back to in the event of some sort of catastrophic data loss. As I say, I produce quite a lot of data, so this backup will take about 1 or 2 hours. I carry on doing incremental backups through the year, but this is my everything has gone horribly wrong safety net. Now, please be aware that I used to manage an online cloud-based backup service a long time ago, so I'm well aware of all the internet-based backup services out there. It's too big a topic for this video, but before using them, you need to find out. Firstly, where will the data be stored and how long will it take to get it back in the event of a disaster, not to mention any territorial restrictions on where your customer's data is located. Secondly, what happens if you accidentally delete something and you don't notice until 2 months later? On many online backup services, that data will be gone forever, so be careful. As a business owner, you must take management of your data seriously. Not only to safeguard your own business, but also you've got a responsibility to safeguard any data you're storing about your customers. Ignoring any requirements of data storage for tax purposes, you need to have 2 copies of everything, and the second copy should be securely stored off-site from your primary copy. Once the backup is complete, I quickly verify the folder sizes match, and that's us ready to rock. I like to show the backup size as part of the folder name so I can see at a glance how much space I'm using on a year-by-year basis. Ignore that 1.2 terabyte backup you see at the top. I'll explain that some other time. So that's me ready to go for 2019. Anything produced or modified in 2019 goes in the 2019 folder. The 2018 folder only gets used for reference from now on. Now, as much as I only want to produce new things in 2019, there are going to be many things from 2018 that I need to carry forward to the following year, a prime example being accounts. So now that I've got a start of year snapshot, I have no problem in moving some of the 2018 data into my new 2019 folder. My home folder is going to stay where it is since that's mostly family photos and videos taken last year, so I'll set up a new home folder for this year. You can see I've got about 57 gig of data in the podcast folder. That's because the copies of each podcast prior to me editing them are quite big. I'll never be changing the past episodes, so I'm going to move all of the admin stuff over, but leave the actual episodes where they are. So you can see, once I've done all that, I've got about 30 gig of data carried forward from the previous year, and about 94 gig that will just stay where it is. That keeps things nice and manageable. I've got a relatively clean folder structure ready for the start of the year. So the next thing I like to do is to set up goals for the current year. These goals can be as complicated or as simple as you want, but you need to think about where you want your business to be at the end of this year. So in 12 months' time, where do you want your business to have grown to? Maybe you're not looking for any growth. Maybe you're just looking to keep your business as it is. But you're still going to probably want to set yourself some things to achieve in the year. So just have a little think about that and come up with some ideas. You can always add to it over time. I'll show you my goals for this year to give you an idea of the sort of things that I come up with for my businesses. One of the key parts of setting goals for yourself and for your business is that you also need to review the goals of your previous year and see what's worked and what hasn't worked. So Google Keep, I've raved on about Google Keep before. It's completely free. It comes as part of the kind of Google suite of tools and things. You can get it through if you just go into your Gmail account and you go into Google Apps. And if it's not showing in here, just click on More and you'll find Keep, Google Keep within there. It's a fantastic note-taking app. You can use it on your desktop or you can use it on your mobile phone. It all automatically synchronizes. There's all sorts of things that you can do with it. So if you're not familiar with Google Keep, you just type into the box at the top here. You can give it a title. This is a title, and then you can type into here and do your notes. It could be a shopping list, eggs, milk. And then if you just click these little things here, you get show checkboxes on the 3 dots, and then you can get that. And then you can click on that to color code it, and you can add labels to it. So you can go to here, add a label and say shopping list. And now all your shopping lists will be in that one category on the left there, so you can keep everything kind of organised by category, very similar to how Gmail works. And then once you're done with a note, obviously you can go through and just tick things off and they get ticked off, but you then probably don't want that sitting in your notes forever, so you can either archive it, you press that, and then it disappears into the archives. You can get to your archives down here, but it's just not in your face anymore. Or you can completely delete it, so you can just do delete note and then that's it, gone. Anyway, let me take you through my business goals for last year, first of all. So what I like to do, I like to show where I was at the beginning of the year, so that when you get to the end of the year, you can kind of get a better appreciation of where you were. So, for example, I've got a goal here to achieve 10,000 subscribers on my Gosforth Handyman YouTube channel. At the start of the year, I was at 5,000, so I thought doubling it would be a realistic goal for the year. As it happened, it ended up I ended up getting to nearly 30,000 by the end of the year. So I hit that goal in March, which is fantastic, which I'm really pleased about. Whether or not I'll be able to keep growth that fast is anyone's guess, but that's done. But you can see I kept a note of what it was at the beginning of the year when I hit the target, which is always handy for reference, and what my overall target was. So I did that. 1,000 Instagram followers. Again, at the start of the year I had about 500. I actually hit the 1,000 around May, but growth has slowed down on Instagram, so I definitely don't think I'm going to keep that level of growth up. But I did hit that, so that's done. 5,000 subscribers on the Andy Mac Drums channel. Well, that was when I was using the Andy Mac Drums channel for all of my business tips and that sort of thing, which I've actually created this brand new channel, the Small Business Toolbox. So I'm ticking this off as complete, mainly because it's not applicable anymore. Something better has happened, so that's kind of done. New Andy Mac Drums website, again, not applicable, and I've actually created the new Small Business Toolbox website anyway, so I've created a whole new business, which wasn't even part of the goals. So that's done. Make a Sentinel giveaway, that was an exhibition I did last May, and that all went great. At least 20 full page updates to the Gosforth Handyman website, yes, I did that. Set up the Gosforth Handyman shop on the website, I did that. And full update to, this is my joinery business, and what I wanted to do was a full update to that website, and that scraped in at the end of the year. I was determined to get that done. If that wasn't on my goals, I wouldn't have done it. On the 30th of December, I sat up till 2:30 in the morning doing this, and I got it done. Scraped in at the end of the year. So I got all of my 2018 business goals done. At that point, what you can do is you can archive the note, to be honest, but I'm going to leave it there for the second just so you can still see it. So I'm just going to close that. And then what I also like to do is have personal goals, just completely separate to your business goals. I'm not listing all of them on here, some of them are a bit too personal, but I'll just show you. Decorate at least one room in our house, thanks to my better half. We did complete that. Climb a mountain, well, not really, but we had some pretty big walks, so I am setting that as a goal for 2019, so hopefully we can bring that across. For the minute, I'm going to tick it off, but okay. Give up drinking. Yes, I have given up drinking. Go camping at least 3 times. Yes, we did that. And go to at least 3 live gigs. You know, give yourself goals that are going to be a challenge, but they're achievable. I'll just show you the 2019 personal goals very, very quickly. Swap kids' rooms around, decorate at least one room, another room, at least if we can try and get 1 room a year done. I want to complete the 100 press-up challenge. I want to build up to being able to do 30 pull-ups. I want to climb at least 1 mountain with the family, which is what I kind of carried over from last year that I didn't really complete. I want to complete the Via Ferrata Extreme with my wife. We did the basic Via Ferrata last year, and it was amazing. So we're going to try and do the extreme one this year. Eat red meat no more than once a month. We're really trying to cut down on red meat consumption in this house, so we're going to try and get that done. Sort out front garden. There's a few jobs I need to do in the front garden. And go to a music festival with the family. I thought that would be quite a nice one to have in the personal goals. Right, business goals. I'll take you through my 2019 business goals for pretty much covering most businesses that I run. So all I would say is when you're setting your business goals, you want them to be SMART objectives. If you've not heard of SMART objectives, it's one of these kind of, buzzword bingo, stupid corporate terms, but SMART objectives for goals do genuinely work. So SMART objectives stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This is really, really key when you're setting your goals for the year, that they are all SMART objectives. It is a bit corporate buzzwordy, but just trust me, SMART objectives work. So specific goals means it's a very defined thing that you're doing. It's not a vague objective. It's not something like have a higher turnover. It's coming up with a specific number. So let's say that you had a turnover of £200,000 and you wanted to double it and you want to get a turnover of 400,000. Well, your objective, your SMART objective, is to get to 400,000. It's not to say I'm going to grow turnover. That's vague. So you don't want any goals that are vague. Everything has to be specific. M for measurable. Measurable really goes hand in hand with specific, because if you have given yourself a good specific goal, then it's also a measurable goal. So for example, I could say I want to achieve 60,000 subscribers on my Gosforth Handyman channel. Well, that's easy to measure that, because I just go onto YouTube and it'll tell me. The next one, A, achievable. Your goals should be a challenge, but doable. So you're not including things in here that are just general kind of, for example, I'm not including doing my accounts in here, because that's just a general job, a general bit of running the business that I need to do. But these should be really challenging goals that, some of them might take 2 or 3 months to complete, but hopefully you will get it done in the year. So it has to be an achievable goal that's a challenge. Push yourself. Then relevant. It has to be relevant to your business. Give yourself goals that actually mean something. Don't give yourself completely pointless goals that aren't actually going to result in any kind of benefit for your business. Make sure it's relevant to what you're trying to achieve overall, in whether it's your business life or your personal life or whatever. And then the final, the T, time-bound. All of these goals are really time-bound because we're saying we want to achieve all of this in 2019. So by time-bound, what you might have is you might have a goal to say hit 100,000 turnover by June. That's a good, specific, time-bound goal. With all of my goals on here, my time-boundness of it is the fact that I want them all done in 2019. But you could get more specific and say by Q3 I want to get to this point, or by Q2 I want to get to whatever, Keep your goals smart. Keep them as SMART objectives, and you will get much more out of this exercise. So, my business goals for the year, if you haven't already read through this list: complete first aid training. I want to get that done at some point this year, sooner rather than later, so it's at the top of my list. I want to set up a mailing list for this channel, for the Small Business Toolbox channel. I'm hoping that'll be done very, very soon. 60,000 subscribers on Gosforth Handyman. It's currently where it's just gone past the 30,000. So again, we're going to try and double it on that channel. That would be nice. 5,000 subscribers on this channel. That's a push because, fivefold growth. We'll see. We're at about 1,000. We've just passed the 1,000 mark at the minute. If we can get to 5,000, I'll be over the moon on this channel. But that is a push. Get the Gosforth Handyman blog fully up to date with all articles. That's an enormous task. It doesn't sound very much, but that is writing best part of 100 plus articles, but I want to get that done this year. Complete 2 more seasons of the Measuring Up podcast, which I'm sure hopefully that'll happen. Complete the Maker Central exhibition. Do at least 3 collaborations on the Gosforth Handyman channel. At least 10 new videos on this channel. Hopefully I'll do more than 10, but I'm setting myself the target of, roughly 1 a month or thereabouts. Restructure YouTube playlists and article categories on the Gosforth Handyman channel. At least 1 website advertiser on Gosforth Handyman. I'm not too bothered about that. At the moment, monetization of the channel is, it's important because I need to live. And if I can't live, I can't do this work. But monetization, I don't want that to take over from just putting out good content. So I'm not having sponsors on videos on the channel itself, but I would like to get some advertisers on the website at some point this year. That would be a nice thing to happen. Workshop upgrades. I've got a whole load of things here in terms of upgrades to my workshop. What you can do in Keep, you can indent these to make them kind of part of one task. So we can see workshop upgrades is my title task, and then I'm just dragging the note over to the right, and then that makes it indented from the top level task. It's not particularly intelligent. So for example, I can tick that and it's ticked off everything on the indented list. But I think if I tick all of these individually, I'm not sure. Yeah, you see, I've ticked all of those individually, but now workshop upgrades are still there. So if I tick that, it'll jump down to the bottom and then I can untick it and it'll come back up. Okay, it does the job. So I've indented all those so that they form part of that overall task. I'll not take you through what that means. And then I've got a few stretch goals as well. I've got a lot of there's a lot I want to get done here. Whether or not I'll get it all done in the year is anyone's guess. But because this is kind of, I still have the day job. This isn't the only thing that I'm working on. I'm still running a joinery business and various other things in the background, not to mention putting out 1 to 2 videos a week on the Gosforth Handyman channel. But I've given myself a few stretch goals here. Release at least 2 downloadables on my Beginner Drums website. At least 5 new videos on my Andy Matt Drums channel. I don't do very much on that channel these days, but I don't want it to completely die a death. So I would like to still maybe put out the odd video on that channel. And at least 2 new videos on Beginner Drums. I've already talked about the Beginner Drums channel in another video. It's a very, very difficult channel to monetize in any way, and it's also a very difficult channel in terms of the amount of work it takes to kind of keep up to date and stuff like that. So it's at the bottom of my priorities list. I would genuinely love to do much more on that, but I've tried everything. We've talked about if it's a dead duck, it's a dead duck. And sometimes you just have to give up on some of these things. But if I've got time, I might try and resurrect things a little bit on that channel. But I've got way more important things that I'm working on at the moment. So that's my business goals for the year. They're all SMART objectives. They all come into the categories of specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And hopefully I'll get that done. And it's completely up to you how you want to put your own goals together for the year. If you've never set yourself business goals before, go easy. Give yourself maybe 5 to 10 goals, absolute max. See how you get on with those. And then you can work out how much you want to push yourself for following years. Because what you don't want to do is set goals that you just can't get done. Because that's just deflating. It kind of makes the whole thing a bit of a pointless exercise. As I say, keep the goals challenging and SMART. And then hopefully by the end of the year, 2020, when I'll be reviewing this, we'll see how I got on. And then my final part of all of this is to set up a short-term to-do list. Just something to keep you going for January. January is going to be a crazy busy month if you're self-employed, especially in the UK, because you're going to have tax deadlines coming up at the end of January. Typically, January ends up being quite an admin paperwork type of month for most self-employed people. So what I like to do, just to give myself some focus for the start of the year, is to give myself a short-term to-do list of what I want to get done in January. So it's not like the big goals that are on my main business goals list. These are kind of smaller bits and pieces, like getting my tax return done, getting finances up to date, getting tax paperwork up to date for the following tax year. And then that gives you a head start. While you're in that admin frame of mind, I can get everything done from last April to the current January. And then that just gives me 2 months left to do for the following tax year, for February and March. Just put together a nice simple to-do list for January. It'll just help you get focused on the things that you really want to plow on with. And I find that if I've done that, if I've set myself the business goals for the year and a to-do list for January, everything else kind of snowballs from there. I'm not organised enough to do a new to-do list for every month. My to-do list just kind of evolves over the year. But I am organised to set myself a list at the beginning of the year of short-term tasks that I need to get done. It doesn't go into Google Keep or anything like that. If you're organised enough to do short-term lists in Google Keep, brilliant. But I've found when I try to keep track of quite short-term stuff in Google Keep, I tend to get lost off in a million different to-do lists, and that gets quite complicated. So I find for the shorter term stuff, my whiteboard works brilliantly. And then I'll keep Google Keep for the kind of more long-term stuff. But do what works for you. I hope that has been useful for you. Remember, this is just my opinion and my way of doing things, but it's the way I've done things for a long time. I know what I'm like. If I don't stay organised and I don't give myself goals and lists to work through, I won't do anything. Maybe you can come up with a different approach that works really well for you. Pop it in the description below, and it would be really interesting to hear about how you keep your business organised and how you keep on top of things. Or maybe you don't keep organised at all and your business still does really well. And I would equally love to hear from all of you. So please pop some comments below. Let us know what you do for your start of year routine. Loads more videos planned for the rest of this year. Remember, I'm not an accountant. Always get professional help when it comes to things like accountancy and legal advice and stuff like that. All I want to do is bring you along on my small business journey, and hopefully some of the things I've learned over the years will be of some use to you. Have a fantastic and productive 2019. I shall catch you next time.